Hello and welcome back. This is Nicole, a cottage witch, and today I am recording a bit before the end of October, the acquisitions for October. I'm going to start with the decks because that's what I've got at hand, and then some books and then some other things, but I'll have timestamps below if you want to skip to the other things. Note to self, remember to put in timestamps. All right. Mostly I'm filming this right now, even though it's not the end of the month yet, because I got too many things this month, which, you know, is not a bad problem to have. I had an extra contract, so extra fun money. And, but I'm at the point in my little apartment where I need to put stuff away because the pile of stuff is driving me a little bit bonkers. So, first up is the Death Doula Oracle. And this is a beautiful deck that I think, if I'm not mistaken, I first heard about on Fairlight Tarot's channel. And I've only had it for about a couple of weeks. But the book is interesting. It's got a few little sentences for every card, but then it references for each card. It gives you, so this is sensuality. Is that gonna focus? Yeah, sort of. And then it gives you a couple practices or whatever you can do. So serenity, that sort of thing. And then, so if you go to the back, then it has these other, so it has a sun practices and ritual. Surrender your thoughts, meditation. So it has these different practices, and I don't know much about Death Doula, so I don't know if they're all related to that in some way, because, like I said, I've only just recently acquired it, and so I'm not really super sure yet how it all works, but it's fascinating. Sometimes it's beautiful. It's not always beautiful, but it is. I just find it captivating and intriguing because, look at that. I don't know what to make of that. Totally mystified. I'd have to spend some, you know, quality time with this, which sometimes isn't what you want, but sometimes it is what I want. So, you know, that's cool. I like this one. Torpid. That's very good. So yeah, there's a lot. And I've only spent time looking really closely at a handful of cards, so I'm not super familiar with it yet. But yeah, some of them are just like cleanse. Okay. Sexuality, that's a bit messier and more complicated. So it's interesting. There seems to be a lot. And then some cards seem to be very simplistic, but there's still, even in the colors, there's a depth of color. And yeah, no idea what to make of it yet. Not really sure how I'm going to use it yet. I just saw it and was immediately intrigued and thought, okay, I have to try this, whatever this is, because it's not immediately easily definable. But sometimes that's okay. Wayfinding on the other side of a fence. That's interesting. Okay, so that's the first one. I will move on now. Oh, and it's beautifully gilded, and the gilding is the very smooth kind that I quite like. And the backs. Yeah, it's lovely. This one is, whoops, a mass market one called Our Tarot. It came in a bigger box, but I've put that on the shelf because I could not cope with the stack of things. So, this is the little box inside of the box with the guidebook and everything. And these are the backs are just these plain gold ones. I think the indie one had more interesting backs, and this is one of those cases where I shouldn't have looked at the indie one because I liked some of their choices better. particularly Temple Grandin for the Magician. Although I like Marie Curie too, but I'm autistic, so I have a predisposition to like Temple Grandin. I don't know. Benazir Bhutto, I had to look her up the other day because I don't know all these people. I know who Bhutto is. I don't know who this is. But the guidebook, which I don't have in front of me, is fantastic. It's got like 3 pages about every person. Eleanor Roosevelt. And the correspondences with the characters that I do know, I think are quite good. The connections they made, I like this. Even though I'm not a big Jane Austen fan. Apologies to people if that's sacrilege for you. Emily Dickinson as the Hermit. See, that totally works. Totally works. And I'm starting to get more into collage decks. I used to like making collages, and then I didn't for like 15 years. And now I'm getting back into it. And as I'm getting back into it, I'm looking more at collage decks. That one was really interesting to read about. I had never heard of her. Or her, for that matter. Or had I heard of her? Now I can't remember. Victoria for the Emperor. I mean, obviously. Don't know those two. Yeah, there are a lot of people I don't know. Her 5 of Wands. Yeah, that works. Like every time I know somebody, it fits. I love these 3. Beautiful. The Brontes are some of my favorites. Don't know her, but I love the imagery. It's beautiful. Colors are beautiful. Anyway, it's one of those decks that I probably will have to like sit down with this winter sometime and really start to read about. Like Nefertiti, I've heard of. Josephine Baker, I've heard of. Abigail Williams, have I heard of her? I don't know. The name sounds familiar, but I don't know. Eleanor of Aquitaine. Frida Kahlo. I love. Yep, that works. So there are a lot of really fascinating women in here. And the few entries that I've read so far in the guidebook are really good. They're well written, they're very interesting. So yeah, I've just started pulling this as a single card draw every now and again because I have to look up so many of the people. And it would just take quite some time to read up on several of them. That's interesting. But yeah, really enjoying this one so far. May have to edge it in gold. May, of course I will. What am I thinking? So that is our tarot, which is now available mass market, and I'm having that problem with type boxes where the couple last cards won't go back in the box. All right. Next up, I literally took this out of packaging today, and that is the Somnia Tarot. I don't know why I hadn't, well, I know why I hadn't gotten this sooner. The reason is because it was too confronting. And I've got it already tucked in there, but there's the back of the box. It's very well done. It's like a good, everything's good quality. But I put off getting it for a long time because it is so confronting. And then I thought, well, maybe that's a reason to get it. And it's all still in order because, you know, half an hour ago I opened the package. It is fascinating. It's also a fascinating deck to me. Which I may use with the Death Doula, looking at it, although that would be very dramatic. And I don't have the, what did I hear that the creator had? Those hallucinations when you get sleep paralysis. Something like that. And then he made this during the pandemic, I believe. At least that's what I've gathered from other people's YouTube. I haven't actually looked that up for myself. But I decided to finally get it because I do get nightmares and I do have insomnia. And the illustrated one has just come out, and I looked at it and thought, it's good, but it's less confronting than the photography deck. And which, you know, given my initial reservations, you may think, well, it's not a good reason to get that version, which, I mean, probably. But I'd reached the point in my life, I guess, where I thought, well, I'll just get this one and I'll see where it takes me. And if it's not always, you know, warm, fuzzy places, that's okay. So yeah, this is the Somnia Tarot, which I think everybody's probably seen at this point because it's made its rounds, but it all seems to be very good quality and I really enjoy it. This one I opened yesterday, and this is the Moonchild Tarot Shadow Edition. It's gorgeous, and I'd never gotten one of Danielle Noel's decks before, even though I've always been intrigued by her artwork. It's always been a bit too light workery for me. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's been too like light and floaty and off, you know, in the stars somewhere, not very grounded. And then I saw this one, and it's got a good chunky book too, which is pretty good. I like what I've read in the book so far. And this is not in order anymore, because even though I just got it the other day, have I used it yet? No, I haven't used it yet. But I did spend last night some time. The TV was technically on, but I wasn't really paying attention. It was one of those nights where I was just spending time looking through all of the cards, trying to, you know, first impressions, that sort of thing. And they're really beautiful. And some of them are different takes on the card that I'm not used to. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. It is still very floaty, even though it's a bit darker. And I mean, purple is my favorite. And just like, it couldn't get more purple. And the backs are purple, this sort of deep plum color. And the edges are this like shimmery purple. I don't know if you can tell if it's shimmery, because I didn't realize it was a bit shimmery. And it isn't actually under the light right now, it's not shimmery. But under the light last night when it was a bit darker and I just had the one lamp on, you could tell it was a bit shimmery. Anyway, sidetracked. I don't really know yet what I'm gonna use it for. But as I said, I've always been intrigued by her artwork, and is this an order? Oh yeah, it is an order. I should shuffle it and start using it. But I don't know what for yet. But it felt like a post-Halloween-y sort of deck for the darker months of the year, even though it's still very light. So yeah, that's that one. It is gorgeous. Oops. Next up is the Boo Tarot, which I'd put off getting for a long time and thought I can't stand the cuteness anymore. And the cards are all a bit wonky, and I don't know. They're wonkier than they were yesterday or the other day when I got it. And some of the ones on top are a bit wonkier still. So I don't know if that's a change in humidity thing. Maybe where she is in France, it's much more humid and it's just drier here. I'm not sure, because this one warped the other direction, sort of long way. And these ones have warped this way. But not all of them. Like the ones on the bottom are, I mean, a bit more weighed down. But yeah, it's a bit odd. I might have to put them under a book or something until I get used to the humidity here. And I have heard that this cardstock is not everybody's favorite thing ever, but I'm not, I think, too much of a cardstock snob. I mean, I appreciate it when it is beautiful, but I don't need it to be gorgeous. But I mean, that is the cutest ghost I've ever seen in my life. And there are a million walkthroughs of these videos, of this deck. So I won't spend a ton of time on it. This does remind me of, it's a bit Harry Potter-ish. Yeah. And the backs are super cute, and everything about it is cute. And I don't actually have a lot in the way of just like cutesy decks, but this was too cute. And stacks of books everywhere. I mean, come on. And I thought for Halloween, I actually wasn't sure it was going to arrive in time for Halloween, but it is the ghosty time of year. Yeah, and I've watched walkthroughs of this before, but I haven't gone through it yet, so it's still in order with this other card that apparently is replacing one of the cards in here that, I don't know, but it came in the box. Have not had time to go through it all yet. But yeah, even the guidebook is cute. Like, it's just all so cute. It's ridiculous. Actually, maybe I'll put these in here upside down and see if that weighs them down a little bit. All right. Nearly there on the deck's front. Nudity warning, I should say, because this is Le Tarot des Femmes Erotiques, or however you say that properly, the tarot of the erotic women, and it is. There's a lot of nudity in this one. I've used it a bit. I think must have gotten it pretty close to the beginning of the month, because I've used it a bit. But it's adorable. I mean, that's cute. There's not a lot of diversity, but there's, you know, a smidge. But I didn't really expect a lot, so whatever. And the cards that I've, you know, spent any time looking at so far, I think the photographs were well paired. Like, that's an adorable fool. So cute. Queen of Swords? Yeah, Queen of Swords. So I think it works in that regard. I haven't read with it or anything yet. I've just used it. Well, have I? Or maybe I have. Now I can't remember. Good? Okay, well, my memory's not to be trusted. I may have. Anyway, I found this by accident on eBay when I was getting something else, and thought I'd take a chance and just get it, and I'm glad I did. Because even though I know that doesn't always work out for everybody, and someday it may not work out for me, in this case, it certainly did. And I really like these cards. I think they're really well done, and it's too bad it's not still easily available, but it's a good one. Okay, last one. On to the last one. Some of these I'm going to save for another month this winter when I don't get any decks or something, which might have to happen because now I've got too many to really get to know properly. This one is the last one, and it was just released last week, I think, this week, I can't remember. Wisdom of the Elders Oracle by Sean Leonard, who has a YouTube channel, I believe. He's a Micmac medium, if I'm not mistaken. And that's the back. And it's pretty cute. It's super affordable. Yeah, he's Micmac. Works with spirit to help heal the hearts of others and teaches people how to learn the language of spirit for themselves. So this features some, I don't know if that was on camera as I read it, but that was his little bio. And yeah, it's we are all related. I love that. It seems super cute. I haven't used it yet because, you know, brand new. But it's an art style that, these are the backs, that's a bit, actually I should look up who the artist is. Who is the artist? Tracy Metallic and Aaron Gugu. I don't know who they are. But this reminds me slightly of beadwork. So maybe it's painting an indigenous beadwork style, or inspired by, or something like that. This is beautiful. I love that. Bravery for the bear. And I haven't looked up anything in the guidebook either, so I have no idea. Maybe I'll do a walkthrough of this one and find out how the guidebook is. But yeah, this is new to the world as well as new to me. Everything else that I got, I think, has been out for a while, and had just been on my list. Respect. There are a lot of different flowers and symbols and things that I wonder if the guidebook goes into that. Yeah, I might have to do a thing with this one and look into it a little bit more deeply. But I got it because I like the artwork, and I also really like supporting Indigenous creators in Canada, so I thought, why not? All right, next up, books. Let's push these out of the way. Okay, so this isn't a book, but I saw it at the grocery store the other day, and can't actually tell who produced it because it just says In Touch Media there. I don't know what In Touch is, but maybe I'm just out of touch. Anyway, Book of Witches trivia. This is fun because it goes through like TV witches, movie witches, book witches, what are different types of witches, real life witches, witch costumes, witch odds and ends, all sorts of witchy things. Apparently Taylor Swift features in here. Okay, sure. Witch fans. So I haven't read through it all yet or anything. I just got it because it jumped out at me, and I thought, why not? So that's that. Next up are a couple things I found in the little free library. Free little library. I always forget which way it goes, and then the way I want to say it is the wrong way. But now I can't remember. Anyway, this is Mindfully Green, A Personal and Spiritual Guide to Whole Earth Thinking by Stephanie Kaza. I had never heard of this book before, but she's a professor of environmental studies in the US and has written some Buddhist environmentalism books. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I read Buddhist books and I read environmentalism books. So why not give it a go? Next I saw this book, Translating Myself and Others. Now she wrote, what was the other book that she wrote in Italian? Now I can't remember. Does it have it in the front? She wrote a book in Italian, and I read that one and thought it was really good. Because she had it translated into English. And it was just her journey in that regard was fascinating. And so I saw this and thought, oh, I didn't even realize she'd come out with this one. So actually, is this new? I don't even know if it's new. $2022, yeah, new, pretty new. So yeah, it's a book about translation, and she's both translated things, been translated into other languages, written in another language. So she has all sorts of interesting experience with language, and I thought that would be really cool. This one is a Canadian-Japanese cookery book, which looks like one of those fundraising cookbooks that organizations do, you know, like the whatever Mennonite retirement home will do a cookbook. It looks like that. But sometimes those are the best ones. And it's not new, and it was made in Kamloops, apparently. But I like Japanese food, and I haven't tried anything from this yet, but it seemed like it had potential, and it's all very straightforward. Although often I find a lot of Japanese food very straightforward. So, yeah. I will have to do some cooking. Okay, Next up is a book that I got on eBay because it finally, slightly miraculously, popped up for a price I could afford. And that is Wart Cunning Folk Magic Herbal, and then on the other side it's a Folk Medicine Herbal by Nigel G. Pearson. And usually this book is really expensive, so I'd sort of given up hope of getting it, even though I had an eBay alert set up for it. And then it popped up and was not like $300 or something. I don't know, I can't remember what it usually is, but usually it's ridiculous. And so anyway, I got it instantly. And so it is just what it says it is, a folk medicine herbal on this side with the traditional herbal uses of different plants. Birch, boneset, borage, just in alphabetical order. And then on the other side, it's the magical uses of various plants. So ash, lemon balm, basil. Yeah, so I haven't read it yet, but I'm very happy to have it because I didn't think I was going to. All right, next up are just some books that I bought because, well, for various reasons, but I'll get into that in a second. This one I got because I can't remember where I saw it, but I have depression. Amongst other issues that I've got, there's a list. But this is one of the things on the list. And this is Empty Cauldrons, Navigating Depression Through Magic and Ritual by Terrence P. Ward. And I know basically very little about it. It had some decent reviews. And I can't actually even remember. I think it was a YouTuber I heard talking about it, but I can't for the life of me remember now. Anyway, it's your relationship with depression, depression is spirit, depression and the gods, strategies for the body and mind, strategies for the mind, strategies for the spirit. That's the part I think I'm most interested in. Rituals and routine, prayers, offerings, dreams, and spells, and then community. So it's got some really interesting sections, and one of these days, on some cold, dark winter evening, I will have to give it a go. This one I got because I'd started reading, this is Read Like the Devil by Camellia Elias. This is the playing cards course, and I got this after I'd read about the first 2 pages of her Marseille course. And excuse me, something in my throat there. But yeah, I started her book on the Marseille and immediately loved her writing style. I thought it was so interesting. I thought her approach was so interesting, and I'm not sure yet if it's going to be my approach. It might not be, but I liked her writing enough within the first few pages of that to immediately buy this. So that is that. There is a Lenormand one as well, but I don't know that I'll get that because I don't have any Lenormand, and I'm not really sure I'm interested. And then the next 2 I got are excuse me, something's gone wrong with my throat. Anyway, these are both related to the Norse magic, folk magic tradition. So this is Trolldom, Spells and Methods of the Norse Folk Magic Tradition. That is a hard font to read. But I'd heard about this book on a couple of people's channels, including, I think, the Norse Witch, who is getting a bit into Scandinavian folk magic, so I thought I'd give it a go, because I'm not really into the like paganism, gods and goddesses and all that sort of stuff, but I am interested in folk traditions. So that's my understanding, is that that's what this is. So it's got a brief history of magic in Scandinavia and in America, different methods, different formulas, and then a bibliography, so that's fun. Love the bibliography. And I've heard lots of good things about this book from, I think, the Norse Witch, but also from other channels as well that I follow to do with magic and herbalism and folksy traditions and things. So, yeah. Again, skin rashes and birthmarks, apparently. People had a problem with birthmarks. Warts I can understand. So anyway, this will be really interesting. Don't know that it'll be very useful, because sometimes the old cures are just not good. Sometimes they're alright, but sometimes not so much. So we'll see. Let's see about this one. The other one is similar. It's The Black Books of Elverum by Mary Rusted. And this is, there were some books that were found in her attic, a relative's attic, somebody's attic. It just says in a dusty old attic. Okay. But this is from Norway. And these were a couple handwritten books by apparently a folk practitioner. And this is what I'm kind of interested in, because this is just an ordinary person. This is not a scholar, and it's not a ceremonial magic, like official magic sort of person, or somebody positioning themselves as an expert. It's just what one person wrote down in her book on a farm in Norway. As you can see, because it's got some of the photocopies right in here, and then the translations. So that's super cool. Love that. But I also like these old things. I've got a whole cedar chest at my grandma's full of old letters and old documents, and I like old things. It's super fun. So anyway, that is another book of To Identify a Thief, How to Awaken Love in a Woman. Do the dishes. Okay, I mean, I'd also just suggest doing the dishes, but that works too, I guess, if it works. To stop bleeding, to stop a damaging fire. So it's just got all sorts of interesting tidbits. And it's a bit, in Canada, it's a bit hard to find. Scandinavian, like Norse and Swedish particularly, are the traditions I'm interested in, because that's where I've got ancestors. And it's a bit tricky to find books on just folk traditions. Really don't know why I've started coughing all of a sudden, but anyway, the sun's gonna go down soon, so I'll just quickly go through the rest. These are the odds and ends, and that is upside down. So I'm a dork, and this is just a chocolate tin, but it's cute and has fall leaves and acorns and pumpkins and says hello autumn. And autumn is one of my favorite times of year. So there's a cute little tin now that I've added to my collection of random things. This is the bag that Peggy Papez made for the Unicorn Fan Book Club, because this month, the next month, I can't remember which months, it's the Tarot of Vampires, I believe, which I'm told this goes well with. I actually don't have that deck because vampires don't interest me, but I really liked the bag and the material that she found, so. And I'd never gotten one of her bags before, but this is super cute, and it's clearly well made. Like, I can't sew very well myself, but I can identify when something is well made or poorly made, and this is well made. She did a very fine job of that, and the fabric is pretty cool. So, no idea what I'll use it for, but it's there. Next up is some Crossroads dirt that I got in a jar before everything froze, because it would be impossible to get now because everything's frozen and covered in a layer of ice. So that's fun. And then I thought I had another rock, but maybe I put it somewhere. Anyway, I don't know if you can tell, but this is a purplish rock with sparkles on the bottom and all sorts of striations on the side, and this side is really smooth for some reason, and the other sides aren't, so I don't know how that happened, but yep, I am the dork that comes home with random things from walks in pockets. Always happen. This is a bit of, it may look like birch bark, but I think it's actually wild cherry bark from a branch that the interior of the branch was all rotted away and eaten by the time I got this. So this is literally just the bark, one piece. But I've cleaned it, but some microbes of some sort and various other insects have cleared out the interior of what used to be a branch of, I think, wild cherry. And then lastly, oh, where did I put the other sticks? Well, I've got a whole house full of sticks. I've got, seriously, like bowls of rocks and vases of sticks, and it's a thing. But this is one of the cooler looking sticks I found lately, because look at the I don't know if this is something that just happens with wood of whatever tree this is from, or if it's from some sort of fungi or what's going on here, but it is just, it's got the coolest patterns and a very cool texture and a very cool shape. And no, I have no idea how to define cool for the popular kids. No, nope, not a clue. Not something I can do. So anyway, that is my collection of acquisitions. I am still expecting a couple more books in the next couple of days. So if they come before the end of the month, I'll tack that on after this. But if they don't, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.